pull the older people back. So there's mainstream country music and there's what they call Texas country music.
Oh.
About 2/3 of it were more of their parents' age.
Okay.
And again, it was reading the crowd.
Welcome to another Mobile Music Thursday. Perfect time for watching. It's the winter, at least up in my area. The best thing to do is sit inside and look at something on a screen so you don't have to see the snow outside there. So, welcome to it. Got a great show tonight because I have an excellent guest going to be talking about his last event and has a ton of experience to draw from. My guest works for La Force Entertainment down in Texas, and he's the headliner, DJ MC, as well as the operations manager there, and has almost 30 years of experience in this business, entertaining crowds as a disc jockey and performer and MC. Please welcome to the show, Ed Petty.
Hey, how are you doing, Jason?
I'm doing awesome, Ed. Thanks so much for taking the time out to come on the show and talk about how you spin what you spin. So let's start by talking about your last event, your last wedding. So what preparations did you go through to actually get ready for this event, for this particular client?
One of the things I did, and I do this with all of my clients, is get to know them a little bit about their personalities, what their likes and their dislikes are. I think you can really tell a lot about what style of music that they are wanting. And then obviously, find out what their requests are and be specific about their request. We obviously are down here in Texas, and so a lot of people like country music. But there's a difference. There's mainstream country music, and there's what they call Texas country music.
Oh.
So you want to clarify. Do you okay? You like 70s? What kind of 70s music? So get some specifics, and then just kind of build from there, and obviously build around their playlist as well.
Okay, so what is the difference between regular country music and Texas country music?
An example of regular country music would be like a Garth Brooks, George Strait is obviously mainstream as well.
Mm-hmm.
Tim McGraw, basically the people you see on the national scene.
Mm-hmm.
It was Taylor Swift. Obviously, she's gone pop,
right?
Which I don't think the country music world is complaining too much about that. But
they didn't like her anyway.
Carrie Underwood,
she got voted off
Blake
the island.
Shelton, things like that. Texas country or they also call it red dirt country. It's actually a little bit better country music to dance to. Some of the artists that have actually crossed over that you may have heard are like Pat Green, which I know he's kind of more national now, but he started out. Robert Earl King is another one.
Mm-hmm.
These are artists, and it's just more of not to stereotype country, but a little bit more twangy, but it's a really good, if you want to do some good dancing to it.
Like more two-step, more steel guitar, like
more two-step,
Randy
more
Travis
two-step.
in the 90s?
If you think in terms of the style of like George Strait a little bit, and with maybe a kind of a rocky edge of a Leonard Skinner a little bit as well, that style. But it is just, it's better dancing music, but obviously, a lot of the weddings that we do, the people are going to colleges down here, whether it's A&M or Texas or even Oklahoma, University of Oklahoma, a lot of them love the Texas country music. We even have a radio station here, a couple of radio stations that specialize in it.
Wow, that's really, really cool. That's really cool. Especially, there's always regional differences.
Exactly.
In taste and things like that. And that goes beyond taste. It's not like you're just it's more country in that area. Like in North Dakota, where I spent the most of my years DJing, it was country 80% of the time, but just mainstream country. We didn't have this like North Dakota country kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really cool. Okay, so you like really get down to like the likes of the couple.
Yep.
Is it just their taste that you're concerned with, or that you ask them about?
Also their families. One of the questions I ask, especially I like is like, tell me about your families. Kind of look at the bride and say, hey, is your mom going to be out dancing you on the dance floor? Because that can finding out a little bit about their families can also tell that, hey, you're going to need to have some of that older music, some 70s and some 80s, because they are a very dancing crowd. Find out what percentage of their guest is it going to be, 50-50 between family and friends from their college days or something like that, or is it going to be more their friends?
What difference does that make?
We want newer music as well.
What difference does that make in your music choices?
Obviously, if it's a higher percentage of friends, more of the dancing music is going to be, the more current stuff. Now that being said, there's always people that love the oldies, regardless of what their age is. But if it's a higher percentage of family, you're probably going to be, do a lot more oldies than you would. And when I say oldies, I mean, I know even you think about the 80s, that's, 30 years old now.
Right.
But it would be a higher percentage of that. And so you find out about their families and friends and what percentages are there. That helps you kind of build your playlist as well.
Sure. Okay. So let's look at that dance, that the one that you just had
Sure.
last. So how did you start? How did this dance begin?
We start when we got ready to obviously got rid of the formalities and went into the dance, and it was it actually started out with I knew that it was I knew the family was going to be a good mixture of we actually did the parent dances, the father daughter and the mother son, and then that was kind of what segued. So actually what I did was after the mother son dance, which was the second parent dance, I played My Girl, had the bride and groom come back out, join each other again, and ask all of the couples to come out. So My Girl, it's not too slow, it's not too fast, it's kind of peppy, kind of gets people in the mood.
Kind of a waltz?
Pardon me?
Kind of a waltz?
Yeah, exactly. And so a lot of people, came out of all of the ages because, everybody knows My Girl.
Oh, yeah.
And so that was able to pack the dance floor. And then at that point, I'm reading the crowd and going, okay, what is the percentage here of the age difference? And so at that point, I kind of saw that it was typically, most of the people on the dance floor, bride and groom were there, and they were in their late 20s.
Okay.
But it seemed to be at least 30-year-old plus, because some of the younger people, the ones that were in the 20s, were still drinking and things like that, or maybe didn't have a date to the wedding.
Okay,
and so at that point, I shifted into Brick House, which was a song that was on their playlist.
Okay.
And then from that, went into a little bit of a disco set.
Okay, very cool. So you dove right into the 70s.
Yeah, because of
and
the,
so
and,
it was because you were
generation.
describing to me that this is kind of a 30s crowd. So like maybe a go-to in my head might have been like doing something like 90s or high school related, but instead you dove for the disco. Did that come from the interview, or did it just feel right in the moment?
Brick House was on their playlist. And I was afraid. I felt like if I went into their high school days of the 90s, you would kill a lot. You would probably have killed about 2/3 of the dance floor, because about 2/3 of it were more of their parents' age.
Okay.
And again, it was reading the crowd, looking at them. I packed them in with the My Girl. And another thing that I'll do is when I'm getting ready to throw out that first song, the upbeat, is look at their playlist and see which one of those we all have these songs that are the ace in the holes, which would be like Brick House or Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, or, the new one now is Uptown Funk.
Oh, yeah.
So see which one of those is on their playlist that they've made with me, and see and look at the crowd and see which one would fit that crowd the best, and then hit them with that. And then you can always, and this is one thing that I teach a lot of, I try to teach a lot of DJs, is knowing the different styles of music to where you can segue from one to the other. I've had couples say, "How did you get my grandmother to dance to Usher?" Well, it's because I enticed her with Michael Jackson.
Right.
Mixed it right in seamlessly. And then all they're doing is they just keep dancing to the beat,
Right. They're just rolling with it because there wasn't interruption.
Absolutely.
That's fantastic. All right, that's terrific. So you go off into the 70s set. Now we're doing some disco. And so how long did you run out the disco, and then what direction did it feel right to go to then?
I did a couple of them. Brick House, Staying Alive, Play That Funky Music. And of course, I was beat mixing those. I played a little bit from there to Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, but at that point I beat mixed in Blurred Lines, because what it was, as obviously I kind of run its course with the older crowd.
Okay.
They kind of dance, they won't dance for an hour straight. And at that point, some of the younger people, some of their college people, were starting to come out here a little bit, so that was my opportunity to again seamlessly mix into going to a little bit newer.
Sure.
And so as we were doing that, the diehard dancers, which example, this one was one I was talking about, like with her mother, out dancing the bride, that those people kept going, but then that younger generation came out. And at that point, it was, a few of the more current songs.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. So, and current sounds like it's within the last 2 years, you would call current.
I would say within the last, 2 to 3 years. I mean, I'm looking at it, it was Blurred Lines, Dynamite, and right about in that 120, I found really good, or about the 118 to 122 beats per minute is a good one in there. And that's also a good one to segue from a lot of different formats of music. So.
Yeah. Absolutely. So then, what current songs did you play? You went from Blurred Lines to what, and why did you choose those particular songs?
Like I said, Blurred Lines, Dynamite. I shifted back a little bit to some oldies because Twist and Shout was on their list.
Okay.
And so as I played a little bit of current there, you could tell some of the older people went and got refilled their drink or whatever. So I came back just a little bit. With Twist and Shout, and then followed the Beatles version, obviously, and then Shout and the one from Animal House. That seems to be the one that everybody loves.
Okay.
And so I kind of shifted back with that a little bit, and then
Did you shift back to pull to kind of keep your equilibrium, to keep the older folks engaged?
Pull the older people back.
Okay.
And what happened was you've got these kind of college frat songs here, these two songs. So your college students are going to stay. Or I say college, they're the same age as the bride and groom, the mid to late 20s. They're going to stay because this is a party drinking song right here.
Yeah, absolutely. Both of them are.
And then what it allowed to do is I kind of sometimes will make a phrase of this is the one of the most popular dances. Everybody can do the twist, and so everybody will come out and do the twist. And the same thing with the shout. And then where this kind of paused a little bit from here is what we do down here in Texas is in our region is sometimes the cake will be right after the dinner, and sometimes they'll do it like right after the first dance set. They don't like to hold the cake too long. This one we did it after the first dance, so I did have to pause a little bit.
Wow! So you mean you stop the dance and everyone sits down and eats cake? Not
sits down; they just cut it. Most of the people up here.
Oh, you mean so you had the show all right, the bride and groom are going to cut the cake now?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yep. And so, but the cake is right off the edge of the dance floor. So you've got these people dancing on the dance floor. Their cake cutting song was "How Sweet It Is," James Taylor's version. So we announced the cake cutting. They went over there and cut it. Everybody gathered around and watched it and everything. And I followed that up. I looked at their playlist and I thought, what's another good hook song that's on their playlist? And I Want to Dance with Somebody, Whitney Houston was on there. So I played that. They came right back after as soon as they cut the cake.
Awesome.
So, and then from there, I played Billie Jean, which is another good hook that kind of came out.
Yeah,
and then mixed in Uptown Funk to get back to the current, from Billie Jean to Uptown Funk.
Nice, really nice segue there too. So those two go together really, really nicely.
Yep.
I've heard a lot of Michael Jackson, and with a lot of the DJs that I've recorded on this show, many of them have said that their recovery, that their number one choice to recover a dance floor, if it's like, you did something wrong, or you went a direction they didn't like, anything, number of things can happen where you just lose your dance floor. You just got to bring them back as fast as possible. They'll go to MJ, they'll go to Michael Jackson for almost virtually that's kind of works 99% of the time. Is that true really for you, or do you have a different
if I narrowed it down even more, it would be Don't Stop Till You Get Enough for Billie Jean.
Okay.
And the good thing is those, like you said, they're good recovery songs, and they mix well with the different, generations of the music.
Yeah, so you can go older or newer.
Absolutely.
Very cool. All right, so where did you go from there now? You've had the cake cutting, and then you brought them back with I Want to Dance Somebody. You're in that 80s set, Uptown Funk. So after Uptown Funk, do you keep raising the intensity?
I did. After Uptown Funk, I wanted to to try to get a few of the more of their parents out, because I'd obviously brought, the younger people out, because I just to me that's the hottest song going right now.
Oh yeah, sure.
And so I went ahead and did Cupid Shuffle, and then so from Uptown Funk we did Cupid Shuffle. I will get out there with them and make sure they're all going right. At that point, we didn't have enough room on the dance floor.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, when you're going to the left or the right, you're going off into carpet. So and so from there, packed it out. I Got a Feeling was on their playlist, and so from there, I played that after the Cupid Shuffle. Timber was on their playlist. Sometimes what I do is I look at their playlist and I'll see what songs I can mix with the other, again, to just keep that seamlessness going.
Sure.
So Timber was on there. A request that I actually got right before we did the introductions was at the beginning of the evening was Toxic by Britney Spears.
Oh, okay.
The groom came up. The bride and groom and their whole wedding party, which they had a huge wedding party, all came over in a chartered bus from the ceremony, from the church. And they said that they were playing some music over the overhead.
Okay.
And apparently Toxic came on, and everybody went nuts. They started dancing and singing to it and everything.
Nice.
And so the groom came up to me right before, he goes, "Hey, I don't know if you can fit it in real well." And by the way, this groom was a spitting image of Matthew McConaughey. So you can just picture a guy talking to you like that, And he's
like, "Ed, my Lincoln outside."
Exactly. And Matthew's from Texas too. So he said, "If you could fit in Toxic, that would be great." And so I followed Timber with Toxic, and of course the wedding party went nuts.
That's awesome. That's like getting handed gold right there.
2 hours ago. So.
Well, what a great opportunity to create a callback, right in the moment. Like, hey, we're ready for this, and just take the gold that's given to you and, spin it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a huge baseball fan, and if you think in terms of sometimes there's a pitch that's just lobbed up there to you, and there's no way that you can't hit that out of the park.
Right. It's just like time to crack. I mean, you see it coming, oh, this is going to go far.
Yeah,
right before that. Ed, my gosh, these shows go way too fast. We're going to have you on again, because there's way more talk about, you're really insightful in terms of the choices you make and taking into consideration the audience and where the audience is going next. That's what I observe the most about your reading the room, always for where are they going to go next, not necessarily where are they now. Because it's you're already kind of behind if you're just figuring out where they are now without just kind of seeing what direction things are going, to be able to shift and adapt to that and do it in a seamless way where you keep you don't have a loss of energy on the floor. So it's been really terrific having you on the show. Thanks so much. Will you come back?
Absolutely.
All right, terrific. We'll make it a 5-part series, spread out over time. People will watch us age.
That's right.
Ed Petty, my guest on Mobile Music Thursday. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to tune in on Tuesdays. It's a lot of T's. It's Tuesday night with Ben Stowe. Get all your tech-related knowledge from the guru of tech from Northern Light Effects. That's Ben Stowe on Tuesday nights here on DJNTV. Until next Thursday, this is Jason Jones saying so long.